Okay, so now in this video I will be teaching you some basic self-defense movements which apply mostly for people that work in the field of street defense, or they are bouncers in clubs, or for example somebody that just wants to defend himself in the street in a dangerous situation. In this case I will show to start with very simple gestures that you can do to avoid being punched, because very often the first punch will be definitive. So if somebody can punch you one punch and that first punch is incisive, is very specific, it can knock you out. So in this part I will show you what is the best reaction for that first punch. So for example, let's imagine that he is a boxer, professional boxer, and he will punch me with the left hand. So if he punches me to the chin with the left hand, show me the punch. My first reaction should not be this one, which is the most typical reaction, is the person that is afraid, because if I do this, he may then punch me with the right hand and I can easily lose my balance. So in this case, if he punches with the left hand, I must be ready before the punch even comes, which means I will not wait for this punch. Usually when people practice karate or other martial arts, they will be waiting for the first punch because this is how they train every week. So they will wait for the punch and do a defense or do another type of defense, and it doesn't work. Sometimes the first punch is too fast, and actually the person that punches will try to knock me out, so he will not wait for my defense, he will punch before I have a chance to even know that he's going to punch me. So in this case, what I do is before the punch even comes, as soon as I realize that he's in a punching range, I will start to move in a way that can avoid that first punch. And that avoidance is based on a triangular movement. So I will do this, basically. And every time he changes his posture to me, I will just do the same thing again. So I will do another triangular movement to avoid being punched. Why? Because as soon as the punch comes, throw the punch. As soon as the punch comes, what I want to do is I want to be here, so that even if I do this, it will be easier. And the same thing applies for the defense. So when the first punch comes, the first defense is a reactive defense, and it should not be defensive because I may get punched with the other hand. So in this case, what I do is I just lift my arms. To lift my arms properly, when the attacker is approaching or is talking to me, what I will do is I will try to stop him by putting my hands in front of his face and saying, I don't want to fight. Even if the hands are here, they give me enough maneuver to just react. So I want to keep my hands here and say, I just don't want to fight. If he insists and he keeps talking to me in a very aggressive tone, then I will keep my hands like this. Because if my hands are close to my face, it's very easy to get a reaction. So in this case, let's imagine he's verbally attacking me, he's being aggressive. What I do is I keep the hands to my face and I can do like this, like I'm listening. So as soon as the punch comes with the left hand, I will instinctively react. And because the distance between my elbow and my face is very short here, much shorter than if I was here, the reaction is much faster as well. So as soon as the punch comes, I'll react. And I can react in different ways. Imagining that I am with my left hand, I'll react, punch, here. If he throws the other punch, the same thing. Now, I may not hit him with the elbow, but once the punch comes, it doesn't really matter because I am protecting myself. Either here, you can leave it, either here or here, I am protected. So anyway, if he throws two punches, like one here and then with the right hand, I'm still protected. The only chance he has is to throw me a punch in an area that I'm not protecting, which is here. But in this case, it will be a second action, not a first action. So the first action will be with the left hand. I am protected, and he throws me a right one, okay? And then maybe he will try to attack me in the stomach, but at this point, I will not be here already, because I don't want to just keep myself here. As soon as the first punch comes, I will move backwards, and I will get out of the range of attack. I may even attack the legs with a kick to keep the distance or increase the distance. So first reaction, I'm listening. or I am asking to stop, he attacks, I immediately block. Second reaction, I create distance because I don't want the second punch to come. So I attack with a kick to the knees, or I just move backwards. If I move backwards, I can just restart the same sequence. So once I move backwards, again, I will say, please stop. And he will throw me a second punch with the right hand. And I do the same thing, okay? And then again, please stop. And you throw me another punch. And I do the same thing, okay? Now, at this point, what I should be doing to stop the attacker is attack his legs. I don't have to necessarily punch him. If every time he attacks me with a kick, with a punch, I defend, I attack the knee. This is very simple even for an old person to do because it's an instinctive reaction. You just kick the knee. He punches me again, I kick the knee with the left or the right leg. So I'm still defending, I'm still saying please stop, and he punches and I attack the knee, and I say please stop, and he attacks, please stop, and I attack the knee. And I may be, please, I just don't want to, and I keep my hands on the chin, I just don't want to fight. And he does it again. And again, I have protected myself. Now, every time I do this, I am creating a shield in my face, so I'm protecting the face. If I keep the distance, it will be very difficult for him to punch in an area that I can open for him. So as soon as I get punched, I move out, I create a triangular movement, and I make it difficult for him to reach me. Every time I created the distance and the triangular movement, I am creating a challenge. Because first challenge, decrease the distance. Second challenge, find the angle of punch. So, punch. This is first challenge. He has to reposition himself to punch me. Second challenge is when I move out and I kick his legs, because now he knows that he can get hurt in his legs. At some point, if my kicks are strong enough, you will feel it even more difficult to get near me. So as I keep kicking the legs, moving closer to me will just get harder and harder because the legs are hurting. He knows that he can be kicked again. And at some point, it's very difficult for him to keep the balance as he has to move forward for the punch and be careful with his legs. He's focusing on two things now. Now, if you lose your focus because you are worried about me kicking your legs, then your punches will not be so efficient because your focus is divided now between being kicked and having to punch. If I change the angle, again, you have a new challenge. So I am basically creating more challenges and giving you problems, even though I'm not attacking. I'm just kicking the legs to create a distance and saying, I don't want to fight. And every time you punch, I use my elbow. Now, when I use my elbow, this can be a defense or it can be an attack. Because every time I use the elbow strongly to his arm, I'm creating pain. If the elbow comes from the inside, it's even more painful. So if every time he attacks I do this, you will feel it, the elbow hitting his arm. So it gets painful at some point to even keep attacking. Again, if I attack here and the legs, then he is feeling two types of pain. One when he walks, another one when he punches. And this makes the person eventually quit. So this is the basic and most easy way to react, especially if you don't have much energy, if you don't practice sports, or if you are an old person and you cannot react with much energy. This is the simplest way. First, I don't want to fight. The punch comes, I defend. I may block it or I may attack it. If the person is too slow or you are fast enough, you can actually do two defenses that become an attack. So for example, the first one can be here, defense, and the second one can be an attack. And you attacked this hand. If he punches with the other one, I'm blocking, and again I can attack him with my elbow. And I'm just defending, I'm just moving my waist from one side to the other and blocking. It's very difficult for him to attack me at this point. If I combine these with punches to his legs, with kicks to his legs, it will be difficult for him to keep doing this. So at some point, when he starts to get weaker, because he feels pain in the arms and in the legs, at this point, I can actually fight back if I want. And if I want to fight back, I can even fight back without much movement, because punch, I blocked here. The fighting back can be, instead of here, I will go here to his face. So I'm using the same defense, but in this case as an attack. Instead of going to the arm, I can go here, and I can simply combine here. And again, I'm just doing this movement. Very simple. If you want to, it's okay. If you want to exercise, you can even bend your knees, and you practice doing this, keeping your hands next to the chin, defend, 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 and then defend, attack, defend, attack, defend, attack, okay? Keeping your hands and your elbows very close to your face. You can combine also, if you want to practice more, defend and attacking with the legs. Defend, attack with the legs, okay? Defend, attack, attack. Or defend, attack, attack. So for example, you can do right elbow, defend. Left elbow, attack. Now the balance will come to your right leg, so you will kick with the left one. Kick with the left. Okay? So 1, 2, left leg. And you can do the same thing the opposite way. Left, right, right leg. Okay? And you can do more by keeping this movement from left, okay, to right. And you practice moving your waist, because basically what you want is to learn how to move your waist. This is the most important thing in a fight. If you keep doing this, okay, even if you are an old person, it's not difficult. So you can exercise your waist every day from one side to the other just by doing this. Okay, very simple. And here you have a protective movement. Even if you cannot reach the final defense, which is this one, if you are here, this is a typical boxing defense. Okay? So even if you are punching your hands, it will come here. It will not be the same impact of being punched directly with the hand. So even if you are here and you defend here, it's okay. If you defend here, it's okay. You are already protecting your face. And you want to reduce the impact as much as possible so you don't get knocked out. Again, you have to use triangular movements to make your opponent attack more difficult to reach you. So in this case, you can do left, okay, right, kick to the leg, and you move to the side. And you can do the same thing again. Left, right, left, and you move to the side. And you have to practice the combination of moving and defending and counter-attacking to make your attacker have a higher challenge when he tries to attack you. If you combine these three things, 1, 2, 3, it's much more difficult for somebody to attack you. If you combine these with leg movements, okay, from one side to the other, just as you move your body, it will even make your attacker's life much more difficult. And I know from personal experience and by teaching many people that when you keep moving like this, even a very experienced fighter, like a very experienced kickboxer, will have difficulties to keep up with it. It will be very, very difficult. Even people that have many years of experience as kickboxers and professional fighters in the ring, it's very difficult for them to reach somebody that keeps moving and reacting in this way. First of all, because you are hurting them in their arms and their legs. Second, because they have to catch you first to attack you. So if you keep moving, it's very difficult for them to do this. The same thing applies for a professional fighter that knows, for example, jiu-jitsu or mixed martial arts. He has to grab you first. If you keep moving around and hurting his arms and his legs, it's very difficult for him to finally grab you. He can, but if you hurt him enough, he may stop before. And that's how sometimes even professional jiu-jitsu fighters or mixed martial arts fighters lose fights against somebody that doesn't know so much about grappling. It is known that, for example, capoeira fighters, karate fighters sometimes beat jiu-jitsu fighters precisely because they do this. They create the distance, they make reaching them difficult, and then they hurt the opponent in his arms and his legs. So the challenge of grappling becomes much more difficult to fulfill. The person is trying to reach a certain technique, but is having his life very difficult, is getting hurt, and at some point, the other person can actually perform an attack. Like I've shown, from the elbows, you can perform an attack. Okay? So if you notice that your opponent is getting slower, his aggressiveness is under control because he cannot really catch you. He's taking time now to punch you. First he throws the first punch, second punch, you hurt him in the arms and in the legs. Now it's difficult for him to punch you again, so you notice that he slowed down, he's trying to catch you. Well, in this point, you can move and change the situation by just performing the same attack. Okay, and you use your elbows and you attack him in the face. Again, you are just protecting yourself, so even if you attack him, you are still protected. Okay, and this is a very simple reaction.